Good morning. Oh, it is so wonderful. First in the theme, and when the Holy Spirit calls, you got to answer. I'm telling you, you do. And there was like a Holy Spirit thing going on when I was greeting everyone. So, our theme for this month is living love through the practice of presence. Last month it was living love through the practice of deep listening. When we talked about deep listening last month, we talked about presence being part of deep listening. So there's a sense in which there's continuity with the services that we're going to experience this month. So we're going to begin by gathering in. And just invite you to take a breath with me. Gathering in from the various parts of our day, the various parts of our lives, and even the various parts of ourselves. As we enter into sacred time and sacred space with beloved ones, with new friends, finding ourselves connected each to each, knowing that together we are more than we would ever be alone. And so I'm going to invite us to gather in. You're going to see through lines from the service that we had on deep listening with some of the songs, and we're just going to gather here. So I'm going to invite you to remain seated as we sing Gathered Here. It's number 389, and you can just remain seated and imagine that you're just inviting Spirit to draw near as if the Spirit is not already near. We're just simply acknowledging that and bringing our awareness to that. And we're just going to go ahead and sing that through 3 times.
Welcome to this place of peace, justice, and hope. I'm Dave Lloyd, your worship associate. You've heard from our minister, Reverend Beth Johnson. Our music is provided by Jamie Passman, and text services by Alex Dvorak. In this Unitarian Universalist congregation, we affirm no matter who you are, who you love, where you are on your journey, you are welcome here, in person or online. Welcome. Hi, everybody. May you each know you are welcome in this house of peace. And may our worship and fellowship this morning touch your heart, mind, and spirit. Welcome to our celebration of community. Child care is available in the downstairs of the Religious Education Building, which is across the lane. But feel free to have your kids here no matter what age. Everybody's welcome. All voices are welcome.
Thanks so much, Dave. When we consider what presence means, which we're going to be doing this month, we allow ourselves to enter into a holy place. And so I'm just going to invite you to rise in body or spirit, and let's sing together. Before the call to worship, I do want to just, for a moment, acknowledge and thank all of you for your support and cards and good wishes as I'm recovering from surgery on my foot. I'm doing great. So I just want to, for those of you who are visiting, that's what's going on. I'm hanging on to stuff, and Dave's going to have to help me out a little bit. But I just want to tell you all I love you. And I got so caught in looking at your holy faces that I didn't change the slides because I'm thinking with such gratitude. So I want to invite you into worship this morning with words by Elena Westbrook. Let every moment be a prayer. With every sip of tea, let your lips move in thanksgiving. Be fully present to the stroke of every hairbrush, every cup of milk you pour for your children. Be present without judgment or regret, without plans or expectations or even dreams. And every moment becomes a prayer. Come, let us worship. It is good to be together.
In this season of waiting, we prepare as the earth tilts toward the deepening dark and the darkness of our world tilts us toward uncertainty. We prepare. We light our chalice, symbol of our Unitarian Universalist tradition, that calls us to be a light in the darkness, a signal of safety, a flame of commitment, a beacon of hope, the light of love.
Will you help me, Dave?
Yes.
Okay. For our time, oh, by the way, it's a good thing next week we're just doing our music service and not the service I do called I Can't Not Dance. Our director of programs, Pam Fodor, is having a very well-deserved day off, and Elizabeth will be doing religious education, and Joe, of course, will be with the youth. So I'm going to do the time for all ages, and I'm wondering if there's any young folks who would like to come up and help me out with this. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Thank you. Great. That's right. Youth, young at heart. You got it. So today we're talking about being present. Sometimes this time of the year we think about presents, the ones we're going to get under the tree, or this is about being fully present in front of whoever we are, to ourselves, to the source of life, God, the holy, to each other. So this is called a universal body prayer. And this is going to involve some movement. So I'm going to demonstrate first, and then I'm going to invite you to, hi, Elizabeth, wave your hand so people can see you. That's going to be our Director of Religious Education for today. Thank you so much. An opportunity to be in our bodies. Sometimes our minds go a lot, right? I don't know about you, but I think a lot. Not that that's a bad thing, but this is an opportunity for us to be present in our bodies, to all of us. So I'm going to demonstrate first, and then invite you to rise as you're and do the movements with me. So can you hold this for me? And yeah. So we first begin by feeling our feet on the earth. Oh, I love that. I heard your feet touching the earth. That's perfect. Just feel yourself on the earth. And just feel yourself kind of getting almost like a tree with roots, feeling yourself grounded, right? And then we begin in an attitude of prayer or contemplation. This is a symbol for prayer, for namaste, for the sacred in me honors the sacred in you. In whatever way that works for you. Yeah, some people are doing this, some people can do this. Absolutely. And then we lift our arms up to that which is above, to the cosmos, to the source of life, to God, to the holy, to the universe. And we feel ourselves connected to that which is above. And then we bring in the gifts that we are given, and we take those into ourselves. And then, as with all good gifts, we give them back. And then we begin again. So I'm going to invite you to rise in body or spirit if you would like. Ground, feel your feet on the earth, your connection to all that is. Beginning in an attitude of prayer or contemplation, breathe. Breathing in. And on the exhale, lift your arms up to that which is above, the source of life and love, the holy. Breathe it in and bring those good gifts into yourself. And then give those gifts back to the world that needs it. Perfect. And one more time with direction, beginning in an attitude of contemplation, lifting our arms to that which is above, the source of life, and bringing that, y'all bring it into you, feel that coming into you. And then bring that into yourself and give those gifts away. We're gonna do that one more time in silence and do it at your own pace. One more time in silence. Thank you so much, and thank you to my youth who were helped, and we're going to go ahead and sing our kids their classes. Just a reminder, you can stay if you like. Like Dave said, all voices are welcome. We did it. Yay, John. Oh. Thank you, Dave. Our congregation follows what's called a Soul Matters theme-based ministry, and that's where we get our themes each year. And the folks who gathered our materials this month remarked that spirituality can mean two radically different things. On one hand, contemplatives talk about being present, like we did with our kids. Presence from this perspective is about awareness and remembering to live in the moment. On the other hand, theologians tend to come at presence from the perspective of otherness. That's some theologians, not this theologian. Some theologians' concern is that not just that we pay attention to the present moment, but we also notice the transcendent presence that's woven through all the moments. That's what this theologian believes. And you know what? There's no need to take sides. Attentiveness to the source, which is in and among us right here, or the self, or to the world. We don't have to choose. Isn't it true that more often than not, they dance together more than they compete, right? Isn't it true that when we're most present, a powerful presence emerges? However we define that presence. Pay attention to the, all voices are welcome. Seriously, okay, whatever you need to do to be comfortable, but there's nothing I love more than babies in worship. Can I get an amen? Little voices, little gurgling, never interrupts anything. I love it. No pressure, no point. Yep. Speaking of presence, speaking of the holy, speaking of the source of life, speaking of that which gives life meaning, speaking of that which holds out hope and possibility, what more is there than a baby in our midst? Even as we're getting ready to celebrate the birth of another baby, we're going to be reminded that all babies are holy and sacred. So sometimes we pay attention to the flow of our breath or the flow of the ocean, and something bigger enters into ourselves at this time. Look for a long time at a singular tree, they write, and eventually it presents itself to you as a world in and unto itself. Since moving back to the Midwest, where I was mostly enraptured by oceans and mountains, not that there weren't trees. There are trees in San Diego County, lots of palm trees, but you have to go places to find naked trees. And the greatest joy, one of the greatest joys that I have being back here, is watching the trees go through their cycle and witnessing the lessons that they share with me and seeing the presence in that tree. The message here is that the world is full of unnoticed gifts and grace. Today is the first Sunday of Advent in the Christian tradition. It's a time of waiting and preparing for the birth of Jesus, our brother, the prophet, who would grow to defy empire. But we need not and should not rush to that time, because this is a time of going in and waiting. Waiting is an invitation to presence, even to pause, even amidst the busyness of the season and the urgency of the world. Poet Jan Richardson reminds us with a blessing for traveling in the dark. Go slow if you can. Slower. Go slow if you can. Slower. More slowly still. Friendly, dark, or fearsome, this is no place to break your neck by rushing, running, crashing into what you cannot see. Then again, it is true, different darks have different tasks. If you have arrived here unawares, if you have come at a time of peril or in pain, this may be no place you should dawdle. I don't know what these shadows ask of you, what they might hold. That means you good or ill. It's not for me to reckon whether you should linger or you should leave. But this is what I can ask for you. That in the darkness, there be a blessing. That in the shadows, there be a welcome. That in the night, you be encompassed by the love that knows your name. That in the night, you will be encompassed by the love that knows your name. Today, we explore being present to Source, however we understand that. Being present to ourselves, even if we know that we are not separate from that source, and being present to the world. One of the places where I enter into presence is in music and poetry. And one of the places that it brings me, and this song in particular that we're going to hear, is fully in presence and in the moment. Peter Mayer, Holy Now.
When I was a boy each week, on Sunday we would go to church, pay attention to the priest, that he would read the holy word and consecrate the holy bread, and everyone would kneel and bow. Today the only difference is everything is holy now. Everything is holy now. And when I was in Sunday school, we would learn about the time Moses split the sea in two, and Jesus made the water wine. And I remember feeling sad, miracles don't happen still. Now I can't keep track, 'cause everything's a miracle. Everything's a miracle. Wine from water is not so small, but an even better magic trick is that anything is here at all. So the challenging thing becomes not to look for miracles, but finding where there isn't one. When holy water was rare at best, it barely wet my fingertips, but now I have to hold my breath like I'm swimming in a sea of it. It used to be a world half there, heaven's second-rate hand-me-down, but I walk it with a reverent air, 'cause everything is holy now. Child's face, say it's not a testament, that'd be very hard to say. See another new morning come, say it's not a sacrament, I tell you that it can't be done. This morning outside I stood, I saw a little red-winged bird shining like a burning bush and singing like a scripture verse. It made me want to bow my head. I remember when church let out, how things have changed since then. Everything is holy now. It used to be a world half there, heaven's second-rate hand-me-down, but I walk it with a reverent air, 'cause everything is holy now.
that could be it. That could be the whole service, the whole sermon. Music does that. I remember the first time I heard this song, I was preaching at a satellite congregation out in Temecula Valley in San Diego County. We were creating a satellite congregation from a couple of other churches. And a member of another congregation, who was a beautiful musician, stood up and did this song with just a guitar. And the problem was I had to speak after that. And it was the first time I'd ever heard it. And I was struck. I was tearful. I didn't have words that came quickly from my lips, even though I had a prepared meditation that I had written. But the words just needed to stay put for a while. They needed to stay put a little bit after this song. Then I saw Peter Mayer in person sing it not long after that at a colleague's congregation. And since I didn't have any responsibilities at all, the tears just flowed. Not these kind of tears, that kind of dignified, oh, that was really moving. It wasn't like that. It was tears and snotty crying. And I wasn't ashamed. I also knew I wasn't alone, because I knew and I know that song speaks just in so beautifully this deep truth. So often what we think of the holy is taught out of us. And then we come to the awareness that everything is holy now. And it becomes a journey. For me, it became a journey to oneness. To recognizing that if everything around me is holy, including that child's face, including all that is around me, then you know what? So are you. Look around. If it's not too awkward, you can also look past people if you want to. Everything is holy now. Rosemary Watola Tromer wrote, "Beneath the masks, beneath the names, beneath ideals, beneath shoulds is the thrumming, ecstatic, atomic swirl. Beneath the mask, beneath the names, beneath the ideals, beneath the shoulds is the thrumming, ecstatic, atomic swirl. Unseen, omnipresent, incapable, inescapable, and holy. Unseen, omnipresent, inescapable, and holy. A divine blurring of being, a realm of charge and energy, most of it empty space. Sometimes," she says, "I remember this. Perhaps walking in the woods or standing in the midst of a city's whir, perhaps working in the kitchen or singing in a choir. I remember who we really are, and remember not with mind but with being. I remember who we really are. I remember not with mind but with being, and I am lost in it. And I am found in it, alive in the cloud of it, astonished with the sacred design of it, elegant soup of it, elemental swirl of it all. How is it I sometimes only see woman, man, person, cottonwood spider, self, other. How is it that I sometimes only see man, woman, person, cottonwood spider, self, other? We walk this journey of separation together. Oh, being who is lonely, remember. In the remember, this is what I mean when I say who and whose we are. In the remembering, there is a return to ourselves. Sing with me as we return again. I'm not quite sure that you can see the writing there. It's a cement sidewalk near where I used to live. It says, as my first time in my new house, and I took a walk, I was walking on a flat surface, and then I started to have to go up a little hill, and the hill was going to get steeper. And just before that hill started to get steeper, someone had etched in the words that you can't see very well, that says, "We are one with everything." It stopped me in my tracks. I stood for a moment and thought, who was it in my neighborhood that thought to etch that into the sidewalk? We are one with everything. And then I thought about who that person might be. They had to have been right on top of it. It could have been indeed the people who poured the cement. Although cement pourers and smoothers are not very happy when you start carving into their creation, which I realized years later when we poured a sidewalk at my church. And I came to church just in time as the fellows were brushing it. You know how they broom sweep it? And the contractor was there, and I said, "Do you have a nail?" And he said, "Yes." And I ran up to the sidewalk, and the fellows said, lady. And I etched in, "We are one with everything." And so every time I took my walk, and every time there was a mindfulness walk at church, I paused. I paused to see this not only as a reminder. This, by the way, is the view from that space where I first saw it at the beginning of my walk, as the hill started to go up. And so I know, how many among you are walkers? You know what I mean, like walkers. I'm a stroller. I like sauntering. Who was that? Was that Thoreau, Emerson? It was one of the, and Aileen likes to saunter, right? We talked about that. Walk. And so it gave me pause every time I knew I would be going up a hill. And on some days, I was like, oh, I'm all ready for this hill. And other days, oh, man, I was glad there was a bench at the top of that hill. And I would pause, take in the view, and then think, whoever it was that thought, in just a nick of time, with that just right consistency cement. Because if it was too wet, it wouldn't have worked. But it was just the right consistency for them to write this message that I carry with me. It was at once a reminder and truly a deep affirmation. When we return to the home of our soul, when we remember everything is holy now, then we can't help but remember that we are one with everything. In a world that would divide us in so many ways, by so many categories, asserting that we are one with everything is both a prayer, a call to presence, and I believe it is an ultimate act of resistance to all that would thwart life. So, returning to the self. What does it mean to return to ourself? Now, we are a self, a big S self, right? And a little S self. We have a personality, we have an ego. I mean, that's what it means kind of to be human. Ego isn't necessarily a bad thing, it's just a part of the human psyche. But we get caught in that and think that that's all there is, and encapsulated little discrete bits of selves. Until we have those moments. Have you had those moments? Think back. Have you had a moment, a time, when you realized that being present to yourself meant at once knowing your interconnectedness and also, beloveds, knowing your uniqueness? Asserting that everything is connected isn't a dismissal or a denial of our unique selves. It's more like Indra's web, which we talked about last year, that we're all nodes on a beautiful shimmering web, each connected, reflecting the whole. Returning to the self, being present to the self, is that invitation that we've heard from our poets and our call to worship, to simply be with what is, with the beauty and the difficulty. Being present means that we can embody who we are in our beauty and our ugliness. I don't mean physical and ugliness or beauty. You know that stuff in us that we go like, oh, I wish I didn't have that. Or maybe that's just me. But being present to what is, so that we can fully enter into our lives and craft the lives that would lead us to health and to wholeness, to peace. Being present to the self is sometimes a challenge, but it is also that which leads us to that sense of connection, knowing all of the people that we interact with, all these other selves, ourselves just like us, with tragedy and joy. We have this beautiful consciousness. We're not the only species, I think, who have consciousness. We have an evolved consciousness, though, that allows us to do a certain type of self-reflection. And we do that when we're mindful, when we're able to be present to what is. I went to the doctor earlier this week for my checkup on my foot. And I went from the exam room to the x-ray room. And the tech had to walk with me. Now, you've already seen me walk. It's slow, right? And it's very deliberate. And so the nurse was walking with me, walking very slowly. And I said, so you have to walk slow all day long, don't you? And she said, yes. I said, it's like mindful walking. Do you know what mindful walking is? So we told her what mindful walking is. Like I do in the tradition of Thich Nhat Hanh, where mindful walking is the ultimate being present. We take a slow step and put our heel down and put our foot down, and we just walk slowly and mindfully. So me and the nurse walked slowly and mindfully to the x-ray room and back. I don't know quite what she thought about that. She seemed receptive, asking me if I taught it. I said, no, I just practice it. It's a way for me to be present to what is. And even in the moment, to all that is around me. One of the ways that we do that is through what? What's another way to be present to what is? My beautiful people. Breathing. Did I hear breathing? Y'all are so quiet today. How do we do that? Breathing. Now, did you think it was at all possible that we would have a service on being present to source ourselves and each other and not breathe? Did you think that was at all even remotely possible? Well, of course not. So, yes, we are going to do our meditation on breathing. And a reminder that we're going to begin with a drone, which is breathe in, breathe out, breathe in, breathe out. And we can go to the melody. In, breathe, peace. When I breathe out, I breathe out love. Part of the practice of presence is being present to one another in our joys, in our sorrows, in the celebrations in our lives, in our lostness, and in our foundness. Next, in 2 weeks, we're going to have a service that's going to focus on being present to each other. But right now, I'm going to invite us into the presence of joys and sorrows. It's the time in our service when we share with one another personal marker events. And I'm going to ask Dave to help me. I am going to come on down. If you have a personal marker event, a joy or a sorrow, you can come up and take a pebble. Each one is unique, signifying the uniqueness that you each are. And it's dropped in a common bowl. You can drop a pebble in silence, say a word or a phrase, and share with us. You ready, brother?
This week, a member of our congregation, Jody Cicerello, died doing what she loved.
I'm going to drop a pebble for Harriet, our beloved member who had hip surgery and went to a nursing facility and fell, but is doing fine and will be released from the hospital, hopefully today. Harriet.
Yesterday was Alex's 20th birthday.
Hey, happy birthday, Alex.
Hello, I'm Kathy. I have something that is both a joy and a sorrow. A good friend who was 96 years old and suffering was able to die. And I realized that that was both a relief and a loss. I cared for him very much. He wanted to go to see his wife, who had died a few years earlier, and to whom he'd been married for 73 years. So I'm happy that he was released and sad that I won't get to see him again.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Darren. I have a couple, a joy and a sorrow, but more a joy than a sorrow now for the Kuczynski family, as little Frankie is out of the hospital, but he went home with a spinal fracture. So they ask for your prayers and love and light. I'm joyful that there are 231 YouTube subscribers to our channel now. 15 today, and we always get up to over 150 after the week or so after the service. We have our new UU workshop today. I'm joyful about that. If anybody wants more information, see me. And a real sorrow for Aneurin Owens, who goes by Nye, the man from Wales. His mother did pass away last week, so he's not with us today because he's in Wales.
It's a morning for joy and sorrow both. I'm Debbie, and dropping stones for my daughter Shelby and her dog, Penny.
Hi, my name is Lisa, and a few weeks ago I told everyone about my cousin, who's like a brother to me, who was in a terrible accident, and he came home this week. He's doing much, much better, so this is a joy.
Hi, my name is Jill, and just 2 weeks ago, unfortunately, my partner developed a PE in his left lung, and he's doing okay. He's got a lot of pain, trouble breathing, and just need some prayers for him to get better. So, thank you.
Hi, my name is Kat. Mine's kind of, again, joy and sorrow. The sorrow is there's a lot of uncertainty with loved ones and my life and the world at large, but I am joyful and grateful for the communities that I am a part of and that I am able to be a part of in all this uncertainty.
I'm just thrilled that my younger daughter Heather is here, and Kat, Amanda, Antonio, Nancy, we're all at UU campers. It's good to be together. And tomorrow is Monday. It is also Hug Day. I never heard of Hug Day. But tomorrow is also my husband's 95th birthday. So he doesn't come out anymore, but he's very, very much, but he's still very active. But if you want to send him a hug email or a hug handshake, send it in the email tomorrow.
Thank you. For the joys and sorrows, those spoken and unspoken, for a world in need and a world in hope. Will you hold with me a moment of silent reflection? Spirit of life, Spirit of love, our companion in all things, we pause in this moment, holding all that has been spoken and all that is still held in our hearts. As we move from this time of communion and connection, may we remember that we are never alone. May those who are suffering find peace. May all beings be happy. May all beings be free from suffering. May all beings know peace. And you, each of you, know this. You are always and everywhere held in love and mystery deeper than you can know.
As we are present to each other in this community, we'd like you to know that if you're visiting with us today, we invite you to sign our visitor's book, which is in the living room in the back of the church. Also, members and friends, to help people connect, remember to wear your name tags. If you need a new name tag, you can request that at the welcome desk in the living room. We invite everyone to stay after the service or coffee downstairs in the Alice Warren room. Visitors and newer folks are invited to pick up a green mug, like this one, so that we know to welcome you and get to know you better. There's always a lot going on around the church, and you can read all about it in News and Notes, which arrives in your inbox every Friday, and there are printed copies available. If you'd like to receive News and Notes and you're not already, stop by the welcome desk, and that'll happen. And starting today and next week, as Darren mentioned, we're holding our new UU workshops. If you're new to our congregation, you don't want to miss these fun and informative sessions to get to know more about Unitarian Universalism and our church. It's not too late. Meet us after the service over in the RE building in the Joshi Chapel, which is the big chapel in the RE building, which is upstairs at the end of the hall. We know that our financial contributions to this congregation come from commitment and hard work. We're so grateful for this and commit together to ensure that the funds we gather collectively do a greater good for ourselves and our world. Now let there be an offering to sustain and grow the life and mission of this congregation. May we give in love and in hope. Please join in our offertory words. This church is made up of all of us. It is what we learn together, the work we do together, the fun we have together. It is what we share with one another, with the people around us, and with all the world. Thank you in advance for your generosity.
That's Jamie Passman. Thank you, Jamie, putting a little love in our hearts. For heaven's sake, don't we know that the world needs love? Oh, and there's another song too, but we'll get to that. That's all. Oh, did you hear that? That's all you need. Oh, right? All right, there you go. We could keep this going, couldn't we? Because as Unitarian Universalists, this is what we know, that we place love where? At the center. The third ways that we're present, invited to be present, is to be present to the world. To the world we wish to see as we work for justice. Although we strive for beloved community, for the coming into being of justice and love, it really does require that we be present to what is, so that we can be responsive in each moment to emerging possibilities. But we don't do this alone. We're not the first ones, y'all. We're not the first ones to confront adversity and fear and uncertainty in our world. I would like to say that we won't be the last, but humans being humans. But it does mean that we can live into the evolutionary imperative that we have, to be present and see everything as holy. But we learn from our ancestors. We learn from our teachers. And just briefly, before we close, here's a teacher that we're going to honor today. 69 years ago today, December 1st, Rosa Parks sat on a bus and refused to give up her seat to a white passenger. Now, the story is generally told that Rosa was just tired that day from her seamstress job and fed up. Now, the truth was that she was fed up. At the time of her arrest in 1955, Parks served as the secretary of the NAACP's state and Montgomery chapters, had been a civil rights activist for years. Her husband had been a protester of the Scottsboro Boys trial in the 1930s. In addition to serving as the secretary of the local NAACP chapter, Parks was also a member of the Montgomery Improvement Association, a collection of Montgomery's most influential black leaders, and she headed up the NAACP Youth Leadership Organization. Now, in these roles, she was a central figure in civil rights activities around Montgomery. Attorney Fred Gray said that on her lunch breaks, Parks would walk to his office, and over their lunches, they would discuss civil rights in general. He said she came in about every day, and we would talk about a wide range of things. He said Rosa was very smart and level-headed. She and I knew that we needed a spark to set off the movement, and we talked about what that needed to be. That opportunity presented itself on December 1st. Parks decided that she could seize the moment. It wasn't planned. There was another young woman who had months before, 15-year-old, who I don't remember her name, and I should, it's bad, my bad, sat down and was arrested, but they decided she would not make the good test case, but Rosa Parks would. As you know, that launched the Montgomery bus boycott and changed history. Rosa Parks was present to what was happening in the moment, present to suffering and to possibilities. Today is World AIDS Day. Since 1988, people have been present to the suffering of people with AIDS around the world, and that work is still necessary. Ours is in some ways a witness of presence. In these uncertain and challenging times, beloveds, we may want to turn from the world, and that may be necessary for a while. A Washington Post opinion writer posted, "Don't doom scroll." And the number 2 thing he suggested was that people come to a Unitarian Universalist congregation. Was somebody going to clap for that? I mean, can I get an amen? Because there is no separation between being present to source, self, and the world. That when we're present to source, however you understand source, God, the universe, love, humanity, the cosmos, however you understand source, connecting to that gives us the opportunity to be present to ourselves and to what is in all of our lives, and that then we bring that presence into the world. We don't know. We have ideas on what will be required of us, but what will always be required of us is that we be present to love, to one another, and to this aching, beautiful world, and to the possibilities that are inherent in our being. May it be so. Amen. And I love you. Please join me in our chalice extinguishing words. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of its truth, the warmth of this community, or the fire of our commitment. These we carry in our hearts and share with all the world. Our closing song is Just As Long As I Have Breath. It's number 6 in your hymnal. There is a word change on the 3rd verse, so you want to pay attention to that if you're in the hymnal. Go ahead and sing with me. Please rise in body or spirit. by the poet John O'Donohue. May you awaken to the mystery of being here and enjoy the quiet immensity of your own presence. May you have joy and peace in the temple of your senses. May you receive great encouragement when new frontiers beckon. May you respond to the call of your gift and find courage to follow its path. May the flame of anger free you from falsity. May the warmth of your heart keep your presence aflame and anxiety never linger about you. May your outer dignity mirror an inner dignity of soul. May you take time to celebrate the quiet miracles that seek no attention. May you be consoled in the secret symmetry of your soul. May you experience each day as a sacred gift, wound around the heart of wonder. As we close, we'll sing this last verse one more time, and we'll see you in the back. Yeah.
1, 2, nice and